So here we have our Revit file, and this is showing the road, West Baseline Road, Aspen Ridge Drive, and then the property that we are going to be working with. So if we are in level one plan, you can see the property line we've drawn here. We have a couple roads, subregions that I've created as roads, and there's like a little parking lot that you would see in the map that I've also created in here. So I want to show you how you're going to draw in some walls and which kind of architectural walls that you're going to be selecting. So if we zoom in a little bit, you're going to have to do your beginning research on your setbacks, how far back from the roads that we need to be. So make sure that you've done that. But as far as walls, I'm going to choose an architectural wall. We have a lot of different options here. But we're going to start with exterior brick on concrete masonry unit. So that is a brick exterior on concrete masonry unit. And Lafayette City, they want their buildings to look relatively uniform and classy. So they have certain requirements to make sure that you can't just put anything out there. One of their requirements is you can't have a wooden exterior, wooden facade. For whatever reason, that's what they've chosen. So I'm going to select this wall and I'm going to have it base constrained at level one. And I'm not going to make this an unconnected. I'm going to make it go to my roof level. And right now my roof level is set to 12.8. That just happens to be what my elevation is set to. Yours may differ. Remember, you can adjust these by going into elevation view and then going and adjusting this roof level by typing in a new number there. So we're going to leave it as it is for now. And back to my wall. And I'm going to draw myself a wall. I'm going to draw this clicking and going clockwise. So the reason that this is important is to put the wall so the exterior of the wall is facing out. So you always want to draw clockwise, meaning don't draw a wall in this orientation because it's going to be backwards. Okay. So let me erase those sections. And so now I have my wall in here. I have my building and the size that I want this thing. Now Lafayette codes also say that you need to have a certain percentage that is glazing, that is windows. And so we're going to need to make sure we check that information. But I'm going to take a look at this view in 3D view, and you'll see the property site along with the walls. There we go. We have the property side with the walls. We have some existing trees. There's a couple in the corner here. So these are my walls. Now, if I want to put some windows in these to make like storefront type windows, which is a requirement for the city of Lafayette, we're going to go to architecture and wall. And now I'm going to choose storefront because that is what we're doing. We're making a storefront. So I'm going to click on storefront, but you never want to draw these in 3D views. So we're going to go back to level one and go back to my wall again. So now it's a curtain wall storefront. And this is starting at ground level, but I don't want it to go all the way up to the roof because I'm going to have mechanical stuff in the ceiling and so on. So really this should not be up to roof. It should be unconnected and probably about 8 feet. So I'm going to set mine to an 8 foot unconnected. You can do a little bit of research and decide how your building would look. It might not start at the ground. It might start a couple feet off the ground, and then it might be a 6 foot tall window from there. So you have to do a little research and decide. Once you have that selected, then you can zoom in a little bit, and you want to do this right in the middle of your wall. So you can see you can draw it in a lot of places. I'm going to snap to the middle, and let's see. I'm going to start mine 3 feet away from the exterior or from the center of the other wall. And I'm going to just draw this as a 20-foot section of glass. I'm going to do it there. And then I'm going to also do another one that I'm going to create. And I'm going to do this one 3 feet from here. And I'm going to do this one as 20 feet also. And then I want to show you what that looks like. So let me go to modify. Now this one I drew from the left-hand side. These arrows again need to be on the outside of your wall. So click these. That one is correct because I drew that clockwise from right to left. That's a clockwise orientation. That's why that one was correct. This one was not because I drew it the wrong orientation. So that just kind of shows you, just check your walls, make sure your arrow's on the outside. And let's view this. And now you can see that I have these really neat curtain walls and they go all the way down to the ground because they started at level 0. So if you want them to be offset, then you're going to have to select these walls. And I can select that. I can make my base offset 1 foot. And now the windows are still 8 feet tall. So now they go from 1 to 9. So if you want them to go from 1 to 8, of course, you're going to have to adjust that and so on. But I have a couple examples. This one's starting a little bit off the ground. That one's starting right on the ground. So that gives you kind of an idea of how to do the glazing, the really large windows that you put in there. We are not going to do it using windows because this is typically not done in commercial buildings. These are residential. Commercial buildings use this glazing technique. So keep that in mind. You can make them whatever size that you want to make them just by adjusting the top unconnected. If I change that to 5, then it kind of squishes them down a little bit more. So you can play around with them in this manner. So that's how you put on walls, and that's how you do glazing in your commercial building.